MaxAnte offers these transmissions as messages for those that sense that things are not as they appear here. With a worldwide culture of systematic, mechanized obedience that seeks to take even more control in this world, we respond by hacking through the systems, implementing new ways of freedom, and tuning more into the light. If this resonates, then these messages are for you, and they will assist with enabling us to bring greater clarity and freedom into our lives. Now, don't expect anything shared here to make a lot of sense. Everything transmitted is entirely paradoxical, and it is for you to interpret and for you to discern what is true. This is not advice for you, nor is it to be taken too seriously. Remember, this is your tour on Earth. Let's look at the listening from the perspective of being with others, dealing with other people, and often what it takes to actually negotiate or to accept invitations or reject invitations. So I wanted to explore that in this particular episode. And just because others are putting pressure on you, and because they are wanting you to be faster, you don't have to buy into it. They may be wanting you to be swifter, stronger with your actions, with your direction, but you don't have to buy into this, because that is the nature of our fast-paced, machine-like society that we live in now. And of course you're going to be coming across people who are putting that pressure on you because they want something out of you. Recognize that. Anytime somebody is putting pressure on you to achieve something that they have demanded of you, they want something out of you. Now, it's natural for people to want things from each other, but that kind of pressure, that kind of need to make you do something, is it really harmonious? Is it really being kind to you? If you are experiencing that from certain people regularly, really ask yourself, are these the kind of people that you want in your life? Because there's a strong chance that they are disrupting your energy field. They are disrupting your ability to tune in to the listening, because it's hard to listen to nature, to the feedback, when you've got people placing such strong demands upon you. So really start to pay attention to everything in the world around you that is trying to disrupt your natural energy flow, your natural flow in the world. And really, when I say nature, you're flowing with nature here. You're going along with how nature wants you to be in the world, and recognizing that you've got other people that want something from you. There's always going to be people in your life, and new people will keep showing up that really do want something out of you. They will recognize talents that you have, skills that you have, resources that you have, and they will structure things, often with subtle manipulations, to try to get that out of you. And you need to develop the confidence, the time out every day to keep tuning in and finding out, is that really in your best interest? Because this is your journey here. This is your tour to this world. And it's about you tuning in and you having a great time, you enjoying this experience of being alive on Earth, and recognizing that yes, other people are going to keep on showing up and trying to get something out of me, trying to push me in a certain direction, push me in their direction for what they want. But do I have to go along with it? No, I don't. But how am I going to discern what is really true for me? Having that time out every day, going and being with nature, connecting with the trees, being with the ocean, meditating. These practices every day are essential for you to tune in, which is going to give you the confidence to often say no. Recognizing that it's as equally important to say no as it is to say yes. And if you're having trouble with either of those, if you're having trouble saying yes to things, or if you're having trouble saying no to things, then I recommend you do an experiment where literally you spend a week saying no to everything, and another week where you say yes to everything. I know it sounds pretty extreme, but this is going to be a playful experiment, and this is where you can start to play with the listening. And obviously don't take this too seriously. In fact, if you don't want to do that, don't even do that, because allow the listening to start to guide you. This is an experimental way of living. If you can just do the experiment of seeing, is this really true? These 4 types of feedback. What happens if I start to tune in? But if you're really stuck, and a lot of people are really stuck with having trouble with saying yes to things. And what are yeses? They're invitations. And recognize that you can always say yes to something to an invitation. And then as soon as you start to feel something about that, so you can say yes, and then the feedback will come. You'll start moving towards that, like literally physically moving towards it. And if you're getting feedback in your body that's saying, no, don't do this, then don't do it. But at least you've said yes. You're starting to practice saying yes, but you want to be very tuned in when you're doing this. And equally, when you say no. So if you have a habit of always saying yes to people, then really just feel what it's like to say no. People are going to invite you to the movies, invite you after work out to drinks, invite you to a new deal, invite you away, invite you to do this project. You just say no. No, no, no. But then there'll be this fear coming up of like, oh, well, what will they think of me? They'll reject me now that I've rejected them. What if there's no other opportunities like this? Well, so what? Do you really believe any of that? You know there's going to be constant opportunities coming your way. Even if you do lose those people, new people will show up. Don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be afraid of other people rejecting you, and don't be afraid of you rejecting them. These are things to practice and play with. Really get good at it. Just start practicing saying no, no, and then practice saying yes, yes, and feel the feedback after you've done that. You can always change your mind. Don't go along with this idea that you can't change your mind and worrying about what other people will think of you if you just suddenly change what you're saying you're going to do. You can 5 minutes later just say, actually, you know what? I'm not going to go along with what I just said before. I'm going to do this instead. And just do that and then feel into the impact of that on your body. Keep changing what you're doing and do this all as an experiment until you get used to what it feels like to flow, because this is what it means to flow in the world. It's important to recognize that you don't need anybody else's permission to do anything. There is no need for you to even have approval. Here you are in the world, and it is your right, your life here, to do as you feel, to choose what is occurring for you. And as you become aware of the feedback and the listening, it will become clearer. But this sense of obligation, of needing approval, of having to have permission, this is how so many people have been brought up, because that's part of the control structure. The control structure is to make you feel weak, to make you feel that you need approval and that you need permission, that there are these others who know what's best for you, these others who have authority. There is no higher authority. But obviously, paradoxically, we live in a world that does have authorities, that does have governments and police and the army and so forth, and it's very wise to go along with what they're talking about, because you don't want to face the repercussions and the consequences of what they may do to you, because the government has a monopoly on violence. It's best to think of the government more as gangsters. So yes, they do have authority, and you want to follow along with the laws of the land until other situations may develop. But aside from that, everything else there's no need for approval, no need for permission. So long as you are still acting with respect and kindness, so long as you aren't actually harming another, then this is your world to play in. It's a good exercise to imagine. Try to really imagine the person or the being that you have the most respect in, the person that you feel is the wisest authority for you personally. And if they were to appear in front of you right now and just say a big yes to you, if you are feeling very stuck, so stuck that you're not sure what to do next, if you've lost yourself in the web of other people's manipulations, the whole world is manipulating you, and at times you can be so lost. I've been there. So many other people are there. And so it can start at this particular point. I know it started at this point for me. I had to imagine this person that I had the most respect in. And all I needed for them, if I imagined them, was to stand in front of me and say yes to the area that I was most confused with. And in my case, it was about whether I ought to get divorced. That was my key moment after 15 years of being fully stuck and in a very difficult and miserable situation. I had to I read some very wise advice that said, imagine this wise person that you fully trust. And for me, yes, it was actually the Buddha. I just imagined that he was there. And I turned to him and said, well, is it okay if I do this? Is it okay if I leave? And in this exercise, they just said, yes, of course. There will be no karmic repercussions. The world will not shatter. Nothing bad will happen. So that's how you imagine it. If you take this particular action, will everything still be okay? And you just hear the yes. And then from there, you feel into the feedback of how does that feel? Do you have a sense of relief in your body, a sense of relief in your mind? And if you do have that feeling of relief, of feeling relaxed for the first time, where you can actually breathe again, then that is a very strong indication about what to do next. Really listen to that, tune into yourself, and flow with that kind of permission giving that you're giving to yourself. Because after you've had that first big message, after that, you don't even need to think about that anymore, because there's nobody here who has authority over you, not even any Buddha, nobody above the clouds that's assessing you and judging you. You don't have to go along with anything here. This is your journey in this world, and it's for you to tune into and listen and live with respect. And from that, you're going to know the next step to take, even though it may appear very frightening and other people may disagree. Don't worry about that. Let that go, because that is nothing to do with you. That is them and their trip, and up to them to listen and tune in for what they need to do next. You are just taking care of yourself here, and you are learning what it means to truly tune in and listen to what is going to be the best next step for you. And you don't need anybody's approval or permission to take that next step. Just keep listening and tuning in, and everything will be revealed, and you can even change your mind. You can take that step, and you can even go back and say, hey, you know what, I made a mistake. I had to do that step. I had to flow and feel what that was like to do. And now I recognize, that wasn't the right step to take. And you can go back and talk to people again and see what happens next. Maybe they've moved on now. And now the truth is being revealed from the world, the third type of feedback. Oh, okay, so that door is closed now. A new door is opening. Wow, trust in this, trust in the feedback, trust in the world and what the world is revealing to you. Even if the world is revealing nasty and difficult situations, it is feedback pointing you to a better direction for you to take. New doors will keep opening, and it's for you to keep trusting and tuning in so that you can flow with this unfolding and take that next step that is leading you closer and closer to more and more joy and being in the world. It's very hard to discover how to flow if you haven't given yourself the opportunity to practice saying yeses and saying nos, and then tuning into the feedback from that. Recognize that life is a constant series of invitations, and it's your trip here to experience what it's like to flow with those interactions, with those invitations. And flowing with the invitations does not mean saying yes to all of them. And it does not mean saying no to all of them, because there are definitely bad places to go that are going to be harmful to you. There are places that if you get invited to, you could even die or something terrible could happen. And other times when you're invited to something where just everything will be fabulous. And this is going to be your ability to tune into that. You don't want to take yourself in any direction that will be harmful. You want to always tune into that which is life-giving and a celebration of being here. So really recognize these differences, and the only way you will is by practicing, because the world, this human society, has been designed to get you out of balance. Everything here, all that is playing out is about trying to get you out of balance so that you are confused about what to do next and feeling disempowered. This is the process of you becoming empowered again, of tuning in and recognizing what is real and true for you. Everybody else around you might disagree, and just let them do that. Give them the permission, the respect to disagree with what you are doing. But that doesn't mean that that isn't for you to do. It's still feedback. The feedback is coming at you from everybody else telling you, no, don't do this. And then you will, with your wisdom, with your developing wisdom, you'll take a bit of time out and tune in. Is this really something for me to do? Because the outer, the third type of feedback that's coming at me from the outer world is telling me, no, don't do this. But my inner feedback, what I'm tuning into, my body, everything is saying a big yes. And so where ought you place your judgment? The body doesn't lie. And then you can even say, no, I'm not going to listen to all of you. I'm going to go and do this. And then you can start doing that. You can start moving in that direction. And if you get instant feedback, or feedback at some point that was a bad decision, that was a bad way to go, then get out of it. Go back to them all and be humble. This is a process of constantly being humble and saying, you know what? You were all right. You were correct and I was wrong. This is about you recognizing that sometimes you're going to be wrong, sometimes very wrong, and sometimes very right. Don't be afraid of being wrong. Celebrate that. Recognize, oh wow, part of the process here is being wrong, and part of the process is failing. There's nothing wrong with failure. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. Dive into this. Celebrate making these mistakes. They appear to be mistakes, but they're all learnings. These are all the opportunities for you to learn. I have made so many mistakes in my life. And I've had so many successes, and the successes only come from being willing to play in this world and do these experiments that will open you up to success or failure, and neither one is better than the other. We just have a world of judgment, a society that's constantly judging, that says that you should only ever succeed. But you can't have a life of 100% successes. Life just doesn't go in that direction. It's an ebb and a flow, and the listening will reveal to you and open you up to more and more successes, more and more positive events happening, because that is how this can unfold for you. But it's about you tuning in and you listening and recognizing that other people have an agenda and they have a position often of what they want you to do. And while that can be useful for you to go along with, there are times when it's very good to go along. Like you've got a job, let's say, and they're telling you what to do, and that's what you've signed up for because they're paying you and you need this money at the moment in your life. So you're definitely going to go along with that. But if there's somebody who's abusing you at work, being mean to you, then this is what you want to recognize. And if you can't stand getting up and going to work every day, then it's probably something to really pay attention to. What if you just got married to somebody and then a little while later you're feeling bad about it, like they're abusing you or they're not treating you with respect? Well, in these situations, what you do is you first tell them, because now you're recognizing and listening to the feedback. You tell these people who are at work to get you out of balance, and you say to them, hey, this behavior that you're exhibiting, this isn't on. I don't accept this. This does not go, this is my bottom line. You must treat me with respect, and I'll give you another chance. You can give people another chance, but you don't have to. But if you are being generous, you can do that. And if they don't step up after that next chance, well, that is probably the feedback, because they are revealing to you, people's behavior reveals to you what's really going on. That is the third type of feedback. Really pay attention to people and what they say. Believe them. When they tell you something, if they tell you that they're a fool, if they tell you that they're a jerk, that is the feedback to listen to. If they tell you that they don't like you, if they tell you that they're not interested in you, that is the feedback to listen to. Don't go against this. Flow with it. If they don't like you, if they don't want to play with you, great. Just let them go. Recognize that other people will, that there'll be new opportunities. Don't try to cling on to anybody. Be willing to let absolutely anybody go. Let any situation go. There is nothing too precious here, because you're going to lose it all anyway. You are going to lose absolutely everything. You're going to lose your wife, your husband, your kids, your job. Everything will be lost, and so you might as well be willing to lose it all right now. Really. Because as part of the feedback is unfolding, you're going to hold everybody very lightly, and you're going to just observe the feedback of what's coming. And you're going to respond back with your own feedback. Never be afraid of sharing the truth. Part of the feedback is what's arising in your own mind of what to share. Don't hold back. Always keep on delivering the truth of what's there for you. If you don't like somebody, if you don't like a situation, let them know what you don't like. And then flow with the feedback of that. If you do like a situation, if you do love these people, let them know how fabulous you think they are. Keep on flowing with the feedback. The feedback is what is arising through you to be shared. Don't hold back, and don't be worried about escalating situations. If something is moving in a certain direction, if there is a strong energy to share and say something, keep on escalating it. Let the situation fully play out. But then also keep welcoming wisdom. If this moment here is good to be quiet and calm, if you feel that you need to tone down the situation, then do that. Because there are times to really allow it to ramp up and reveal all the truth. And there are other times when you need to just tone the whole thing down and let everything to become quiet so that people settle. So just keep flowing with this. Really keep tuning in. If there is a very extreme moment, maybe you just need to step out for a little walk. Just go to the other room and just breathe. Focus on your breath and calm down. Allow the messages to come to you, the feedback, to say, hey, just take a bit of time out here and then come back to these people. It's getting too heated. Because then you can clear your head. It's always wise to have a calm, clear mind, because then you can clearly tell people what's really going on for you, and then allow them the respect to share back what's going on for them. And that's how you're going to flow. You're going to flow and listen to the feedback. The feedback will reveal what to do in each moment. And if you have to move on in life, allow that to happen. If you have to go to a new city, a new country, new people, well, new opportunities will keep on arising for you. There'll always be new opportunities and new people to keep showing up. And you'll find the right ones that love to play with you. Just let the others go. If there are too many issues with these people and they're not very enjoyable to play with, it's all about play. Nothing more. And if they happen to even be your family members, dear ones and near ones, you can still respect them, but move on. Let them go. Just visit them occasionally. Or even not at all. You don't have to visit anybody. There's nothing here that you have to do. This is your life. And the feedback is revealing to you the truth of the situation. And this truth is going to point you in the direction to enable you to have more and more joy in your life. And it's only when we overlay it with all the social conditionings that tell you that you have to stay married, that you have to stay at your job for so many decades, that you have to finish your degree, all these have tos, well, let them all go. None of that is true. None of it. You just flow and listen and be with respect and kindness and generosity, and those things will enable you to discern the right actions to take. It's very important that you take the right actions from wisdom and be kind to yourself first, and then be kind to others. And you do remember your responsibilities and your obligations and the consequences. So that's where the wisdom comes in. Like if you do have people that are depending upon you, the main people who actually do depend upon you, when it really boils down to it, they are children, and they could be your caregivers, your elderly parents or grandparents. If there are people who actually depend upon you, who once helped you, or that you brought into this world, then those are very special relationships that could transcend a lot of this. That you've made a commitment here to look after this child, to look after this elderly parent. But really, aside from that, is there anybody else? Probably not. There could be very near and dear and special friends, or maybe a spouse that has really helped you out so much in the past. Look at people's behavior. See how much they have authentically offered to you, and then recognize that this is something to repay, to give back to them in thanks. And sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes you may actually be exhausted, but it can still be worthwhile and good and life-giving to be there for them. So this is where you are bringing in the wisdom to discern. Every situation is unique. Every relationship is unique. And it's here for you to figure out what is the real truth of this moment. How ought I behave? What is of the highest good here? Is it moving away from or moving toward? Allow the listening to reveal what next step to take. And this is where the beauty of life, the dance of life, unfolds. And it's remarkable. And most people aren't playing like this. Most people are living from the social conditioning. They're following a script that they've been given that they have to. It's all about have tos. Stay in certain situations. Well, now you're going to start playing with that and seeing what it's like to let that go and open yourself up to new possibilities that others would be far too afraid to do. But you will start to develop the courage and the confidence to live from this new perspective, which reveals to you an entirely magical way of living in the world, where people will be shocked at all the opportunities that come your way. How do you keep accessing all these amazing opportunities, they'll ask, these amazing people that you hang out with, these adventures that you go on? And you can just say, oh, it's because I'm flowing with the listening. I'm flowing with the feedback, and it's revealing what next step to take. And they won't even understand what you mean. And then you can explain to them what we've talked about here. But this is about practice. This is all about practicing to flow, to listen. And you can't do it any other way because it's a physical thing to do in the world. You will receive the feedback and then you will play it out in the physical world. And you will probably fail and make mistakes at the beginning because it's a new practice. This is an entirely new way of being. And this can even be your daily practice. Your entire life becomes the daily practice of flowing with the listening. And the listening is tuning into the 4 types of feedback. And that can be literally just the way that you live. It is your guiding compass of how to be here in the world. And it's going to keep on guiding you to more and more joy and more freedom. And then from there, you will share that with other people and enable them to have greater levels of joy and freedom. And this is how the world can change. But it starts here with you, and with you tuning into the feedback, and with you being very kind to yourself.